I'm going to talk about life here for a second and the way that you give. And, we give money, right? We give gifts, but what do you primarily give every single day? Whether you are thinking about it or not, let me tell you what you give. You give your heart, mind, and soul and your strength. And you basically do that by giving two big resources to people or entities in your life. One of those is you give time, and the other is you give energy. In other words, you put energy for a certain amount of moments or minutes or hours or days into giving to something, right? This happens every day. You know, we had a call yesterday from somebody whose mother-in-law was wanting the marriage to give to her a lot of time and energy and decision making, all that kind of stuff. You give it to, sometimes maybe there's an extended family member who's an addict, and you're giving money, or or maybe there's somebody else that sometimes is out of control. Or in a lot of the good scenarios, had a call from a woman yesterday that so giving to her kids. You know, great. Let's give to our kids, right? Let's give to our friends. Let's give to communities. Let's give to Uncle Joe. Let's give to family members. Let's give to friends. Let's give to spouses. Giving is what makes life go round. Now, here's the interesting thing from the psychologist's perspective. Here's what we know about giving. Did you know that when you give, the same pleasure centers light up in your brain? They hook up the brain scans. When you give, the same pleasure centers light up in your brain that light up when you're having good food or good sex. Your brain doesn't know the difference. So that one of them burns calories and the other adds, but your brain doesn't know the difference. Okay. It's pleasure, unless it's not. And that is what this verse talks about. The verse, when I quote it to you here, talks about giving basically under duress, either external pressure or internal pressure. The psychological literature will call it codependency or enabling. Same dynamic. Here's what the verse says. I want you to focus on four words here. Give as you have purposed, word number one, which means intentionally chosen, as you have purposed in your heart. Not, second word, begrudgingly, which means we're giving, but we're really giving in to pressure. So we kind of begrudge it. I'm doing this, but I don't like it. Not begrudgingly, or third word, under compulsion, which is not external pressure, but internal pressure. I really don't want to do this, but I feel bad if I don't. I really want to do this, but if I don't, I'm really selfish. I really want to do this, but if I don't, people won't like me. And there's some sort of compulsion inside that we're really not free to say no to that request. It's three words out of four, really. Give as you purpose, number one, not begrudgingly, number two, pressure from the outside, or under compulsion, pressure from the inside. And here's word number four, for God loves word number four, cheerful giver. How do we get to cheer? Back to the science. How do you get your brain to feel like it's having good food or good sex while you're giving your time and energy to someone? Because that starts a lot of good stuff happening in your head. Cheerful giving. Let me do that for you. I would love to do that. You go to a restaurant, go to Chick-fil-A, and you walk up to the counter and you order your thing. You say, You say, thank you. What do they say? My pleasure, the pleasure of serving, the pleasure of giving. Well, let me tell you something. We don't feel pleasure when it's not purposeful, but instead it's under pressure, either internal or external pressure. So, thought for the day is, where do you lose the track to go down? Where do you lose the railroad track to get to pleasureful giving? Well, we lose it when we lose our purpose. We're not deciding what we want to give to. Now, this is true in the big sense of the word. And let me tell you something, for those of you, I was thinking specifically in marriage, but but when I was single, we did this with, a circle of friends as well. There are one of the most incredible things that a couple can do together is give. Purposeful giving. Now, a lot of couples will give and they'll donate stuff when requests come, but I want you and your spouse, or you and a group of friends, to back off of when the requests come, get above it and say, what do we want to give to purposefully? In other words, what's the needle in the world that we want to move? For example, Tori and I have done this we've been married 26 years. And we take our giving in the way that we do it, as both of us were taught early in life. My first allowance, my parents always taught me, I got $1 a week. And they say, what do you do with it? Well, you take the first dime and you put it in the plate at church, symbolically meaning the first piece is the giving. So every dollar that comes in our household, we'll take the first piece, whatever that is for you. Some people it's a dime, some people it's 90 cents, if you talk to some people it's a nickel, but whatever. The first piece is the giving piece. Okay, so that sits over here in a pile, right? And then what we do is we have a purpose, or a handful of purposes that we want to move the needle on. Homelessness, poverty, especially with women and children, poverty around, all contexts, but we do a little extra focus on those. Human trafficking, things related to our faith. And there's other stuff, but we really, really purposefully want to have a mission in some specific areas. Okay. Now, I've got a friend, he and his wife, it's all about education, providing education for those who can't find it or have it or pay for it. That's purposeful giving. How about this? Purposeful giving of your time and energy to your spouse, to your kids, to your friends, where you purpose this amount of this effort, this whatever. I want to make them dinner. I want to do this. I want to do this. One of the things my dad did every single morning, he was a early riser. My mother was not. I mean, they both did because they both worked, but he'd get up first and leave. Every single morning, they were married 66 years. Every single morning before he would leave, he would make her coffee and toast and put it on her bedside table. And I think that purpose gave him great joy. So think of who you want to give to, how you want to help, how you want to serve. And here's another big takeaway. Where are you giving in to somebody's temper tantrum or their guilt or their manipulation? If I don't do this, they're going to be mad, or this, that, and the other. So I want you to look at where begrudging giving has happened because of fear. You came about this honestly. They do throw temper tantrums. They do ghost you if you don't do what they want. But remember, as another verse says in Proverbs, when you rescue an angry person, you're only going to have to do it again tomorrow. You keep giving into that begrudgingly pressure because they shame you or guilt you. Some friend or relative says, "Hey, do you want to come over for this holiday, or you want to have lunch?" You go, "No, we've got plans." Oh, 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 well, yeah. I thought we were friends, but I thought I mattered to you. Oh, well, excuse me for thinking you cared. There's 10,000 ways to do this, but you know what it feels like, guys. So gradually over time, I want you to redeem your freedom and your purposeful giving. Your purposeful giving.